On October 19th, a rare scene occurred outside the Mingdu Street Office in Chang'an District, Xi'an City. A group of sheep collectively petitioned, blocking the office gate completely. A video was taken showing one of the sheep kneeling before the gate as if pleading for its owner. Behind it, a crowd of sheep formed a petition wall, their furry bodies pushing against each other, resembling a group of people waiting for a response. It said that the incident was caused by the construction of the East Railway Station and electrical grid renovation projects. The contractor cut the drainage ditch and the continuous heavy rain flooded the breeding farm. The sheep pens collapsed, leaving the sheep with no place to go. The farm owners approached multiple departments for help but were ignored. In the end, they had no choice but to herd the sheep to the street office entrance, using the simplest way to make their problem seen. Ironically, on the same day, another group of petitioners gathered far away in Beijing. The difference was that these petitioners were not sheep, but desperate people. On October 20th, the day before the opening of the Chinese Communist Party's 20th Central Committee's fourth plenary session, videos surfaced showing large-scale efforts by the authorities to clear the petitioners lining up at the National Petition Office. Buses waiting to transport people could be seen lining the streets endlessly. Netizens familiar with the situation stated that in previous years, the authorities will begin clearing the area early in the morning on the day of the meeting. But this year, with so many petitioners, they had to start earlier. More ironically, Beijing authorities set up a fake petition center to deceive the petitioners. On the same day, videos were circulated online showing a suspected park in Beijing with a sign reading Beijing People's Reception Room, yet no actual office could be seen. The reception room appeared to be a false petition reception office set up by the Beijing municipal government at a remote location to mislead petitioners so as to reduce the stability maintenance pressure in the city center. In response, a large number of petitioners in Beijing accents gathered there, loudly cursing the CCP authorities.
Today is October 20th, 2025. The day of the Communist Party's fourth plenary session, but it's also a difficult day for the people at the very bottom of Chinese society.
When we came here, what did the staff say?
They said this is the people's reception room, but this reception room is just a platform, unrelated to the government. Simply put, they hung up a sign here to deceive the public, fooling you.
Nearby, another male petitioner said, the number 125 he said does not exist. I used the GPS for a long time, but there's no number 125. According to the official website of the Beijing Municipal Petition Office, authorities had set up so-called Beijing People's Reception Rooms at various locations throughout Beijing. However, whether these reception rooms actually exist is debatable. What's more outrageous, over 10 days before the opening of the CCP's fourth plenary session, petitioners from across China had already been tracked and intercepted by Interception officers. Some residents revealed that plainclothes officers were stationed at their doorsteps to prevent them from going to Beijing for medical treatment.
这位女士，你是哪儿的？你是哈西办事处的还是巴山派出所的？
Hello, ma'am. Where are you from? Are you from the Haxi office or the Baishan police station? Oh, you're from Baishan.
Don't laugh, miss.
I've never seen you before. You're infringed on my rights. Which police station are you from? You need to introduce yourself. Why are you staying at my door?
Is this your doorstep?
Of course it is. Isn't this my doorstep? Introduce yourself. Why are you wearing plain clothes? Why aren't you in uniform?
We're cooperating with the case.
You're cooperating with the case, but why are you maintaining stability? What are you afraid of? What's there to maintain? What are you afraid of? Does it have anything to do with me going to see a doctor? Sir, where are you from? Introduce yourself. Is this a lady? Why doesn't she dare to show her face? Where are you from? Introduce yourself. You have to let me know where you're from. Otherwise, I'll think you're a robber, not even willing to give your name. What's going on here? Are you trying to stop me from leaving? What's the meaning of your presence here? Some residents, unable to tolerate being followed and monitored all day, verbally drove the officers away. Look carefully. This sticky plaster is blocking my door every day. I went to the mall to buy snacks, to buy food, and she's right there at the door, never leaving. They severely obstruct my personal freedom. Which law says you can block my door like this? Don't you have any shame? You sticky plaster. Are you proud of yourself? How will you explain to your kids what you're doing, standing in front of someone's door? Is this your job? Who gave you the right to enter my neighborhood? My neighborhood requires a card to enter. Who gave you permission? Look at the sticky plaster, always blocking my door. In response, netizens commented, it feels like the petition system is a trap to let dissatisfied individuals surface and then control them, and then everything appears peaceful. The netizen sharply pointed out that the absurd nature of the petition system, and this is not unique to Beijing. At the same time, similar stability maintenance practices are rapidly being implemented in other regions. The Pudong New District in Shanghai has already launched a new round of stability maintenance, particularly targeting those who have a history of petitioning. Cui Fufang, the daughter of a 95-year-old disabled petitioner, Liu Shuzhen from Pudong New District, Shanghai, recently reported that on October 9th, the first workday after the Mid-Autumn Festival, staff members from the Zhou Street Office were dispatched to monitor Liu. Cui told overseas media that on the morning of October 9th, 4 people from the street office rented a hotel near her mother's room. Liu, who has been without compensation or resettlement since being displaced for the 2010 Shanghai World Expo, has been living in rented housing for 22 years and is heavily in debt. A 95-year-old disabled woman still doesn't know where her late years will be spent. It's reported that Liu's petition case has been repeatedly overseen by the National Petition Bureau, especially in the 2020 rectification of repetitive petitions and resolution of petition backlog initiative. Her case, along with her daughter Cui's, was included in the key cases for supervision. The National Petition Bureau instructed the Secretary of the Political and Legal Committee of Pudong New District to personally handle the case as the case manager, directly responsible for the case's progress and outcome. However, 5 years have passed and no leader has ever spoken with them. Cui said on January 15, 2020, during the Shanghai 2 sessions, my mother was detained after submitting petition materials to the National People's Congress. She was carried into the detention center without any formal procedures. Our family never received a detention notice. When she was taken out of the detention center, there was no release certificate. She was later released on bail for 1 year with the Zhou Street Police Station as the guarantor. Cui revealed that over the past 20 years, the government had spent more than 50 million yuan, approximately $7 million on stability maintenance for her mother, Liu. The funds continue to be spent, yet her mother's private property has still not been returned. Yu Zhonghuan, another petitioner from Pudong New District, also shared his experience with overseas media. Yu said that on the morning of October 11th, 4 unidentified individuals appeared at both the front and back door of his home. He was not only prevented from taking his daughter to seek medical treatment, but also restricted from even going out to get his prescription filled. 3 years ago, Yu's wife, Xi Ping, was prosecuted on her rights defense journey, which led to her being hospitalized for a stroke and later dying in pain. Later, Yu felt that the authorities' stability maintenance and persecution of him had become even more severe. Even his daughter, who suffers from cerebral palsy and intellectual disabilities, was deeply affected. Yu said 2 years ago, despite the fact that I had already made a hospital appointment for my daughter's treatment, the government forcibly kidnapped me from the city to a secret detention facility in Chongming Island for stability maintenance. They forcibly took 5,000 yuan and my phone, stole the keys to my house, and took 20,000 yuan I had saved for my daughter's medical expenses, as well as my computer, SD cards, and petition materials. They also forcibly sent my daughter to a disability foster home, which worsened her condition. She was originally able to walk several kilometers, but after that she could barely walk a few steps. She also developed severe hypertension, heart disease, gastrointestinal issues, and gallstones. Yu said, when I was in Chongming Island Black Prison, I begged the government to send me to a place closer to my home in the city so that I could quickly sign the papers if my daughter's condition became critical. But they refused. To cover up the government's wrongdoing, they forced me to sign an authorization letter allowing them to send my daughter from our home to the disability foster home. When I refused, they beat me. After I was beaten, they made me speak a few words into a phone camera, something like authorization, but I still refused. Then they beat me again and broke one of my ribs. This year, during the CCP's September 3rd military parade stability maintenance, Yu was called in for a talk by the street office. He expressed hope to get more stability maintenance funds to cover his daughter's outstanding foster care and medical expenses, but he was refused by Director Ni of the Petition Office. To his surprise, that very day, security guards appeared at his doorstep. 3 days later, he was detained for 30 days on the fabricated charge of provoking trouble, and upon release was kidnapped and held for 11 days at the Chongming Island secret detention facility. Yu stated that every year during the National People's Congress, the Party Congress, and other major meetings, the local government in Shanghai allocates stability maintenance funds to prevent petitioners from going to Beijing. As a rule, each petitioner can receive between 5,000 and 50,000 yuan. If a family has 2 petitioners, the total can reach 100,000 yuan. The central government reimbursed local governments up to 500,000 yuan per person per year for stability maintenance. But the problem is most of this money isn't used to help petitioners or solve their problems. Instead, it is embezzled by some officials under the guise of stability maintenance. Local officials often use this money to hire people to monitor and intercept petitioners, even setting up so-called black prisons to incarcerate them and show them that the stability maintenance work is in place. In these processes, many people take kickbacks through intermediaries, fake contracts, and outsource security services. Because of the huge profits involved, local governments are particularly proactive in kidnapping petitioners and setting up illegal incarceration. With the 20th CCP Central Committee's 4th plenary session approaching, nationwide stability maintenance actions have been fully launched again, and a new round of suspension and suffering is once again upon the petitioners. The petition system was originally designed as a way of the public to approach the government, voice their concerns, and seek resolution. However, in China, it has long been distorted. It now resembles more of a political task aimed not at resolving problems, but at avoiding issues. Reports have pointed out that this is not an isolated incident. In Beijing, every time there's a significant meeting or holiday, the city enters a state of heightened alert. In early July 2024, ahead of the CCP's 20th third plenary session, preemptive stability and maintenance was implemented nationwide. Petitioners from Jiangsu, Henan, Shandong, and other provinces were gradually returned to their hometowns or directly taken away. For example, 70-year-old petitioner Xu Dongqing from Chang'an City, Jiangsu province, arrived in Beijing on July 3rd to petition, but was intercepted by the local police at the Fuyou Street police station and sent back home by local government personnel. This incident sparked widespread discussions on social media, with many petitioners claiming that the petition office in Beijing was cleared out overnight. The most controversial temporary settlement point for petitioners was the Zhou-Jingzhuang temporary settlement area, which was full of vehicles. Additionally, other reports indicate that as the third plenary session approached, Beijing, Shanghai, and other cities activated level 1 security modes, even placing petition blacklist on train tickets for those traveling to the capital. Meanwhile, petition bureaus and political legal committees nationwide received instructions to ensure no petitions, no gatherings during the meeting, emphasizing that no incident before, during, or after the meeting. At the end of the year, statistics on civil rights protection indicated that multiple cases of petitioners being sent to study camps occurred in December 2024. For example, Huang Haiyan from Xianju County, Zhejiang Province was detained for re-education by the local government and only released after the plenary session concluded. In 2024, stability maintenance had evolved into a systemic set of actions complete with scheduling, budgets, and a chain of responsibility. In 2023, cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou implemented high-level security during major holidays and foreign affair events. For instance, ahead of the Hangzhou Asian Games, local petitioners and land explorated farmers were arranged for group travel. In cities like Chengdu and Zhengzhou, labor dispute petitioners were closely monitored, and some were even given psychological counseling and community talks. In rural areas, farmers dealing with wage claims or demolition compensation disputes were often included in the petition risk management system, with local governments stepping in under the guise of maintaining social stability to suppress them. Some netizens sarcastically commented that the CCP stability maintenance had become a routine, practiced annually and growing increasingly sophisticated. As a result, stability maintenance funds have naturally increased year by year. According to public reports, the 2025 budget draft includes public security expenditures stability maintenance of 243 billion yuan, approximately 34 billion US dollars, a year-on-year increase of 7.3%. In 2024, according to the Ministry of Finance of the People's Republic of China, public security expenditures amounted to 228 billion yuan, approximately 32 billion USD, with a year-on-year increase of about 1.4%. However, many people are asking, given China's current economic slowdown, tight employment, and strained finances, why is the CCP continuing to increase investment in stability maintenance? The reason is actually quite simple. Some commentators believe that, in the government's logic, social instability is seen as the biggest risk. As long as protests and group incidents occur frequently, even if economic data looks good, it will be viewed as political loss of control. Therefore, even if there is no money to repair the subway or pay off debts, there must still be money for surveillance, hiring auxiliary police, and maintaining the so-called social peace. Since 2010, maintaining stability has no longer been just the responsibility of the police system. It has become a project that involves the entire national machinery. It has a dedicated budget item called Public Security Expenditure, a strict reporting chain from the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission down to local community governance centers, and a large network of cross-department collaboration. The police, petition officers, street committees, community organizations, the cyberspace administration, and propaganda departments are all involved. Each level has specific tasks, and some regions even set assessment indicators such as how many petitioners are persuaded to return or how many groups' incidents are resolved in their early stages. As a result, even though local finances are strained, the number of police officers, auxiliary police, and community grid workers continues to increase, and the number of street cameras grows year by year. Since 2011, this expenditure has surpassed the national defense budget. In other words, the cost of maintaining peace within China is higher than defending the nation's borders. On the other hand, from a social perspective, the expenditure on stability maintenance is actually a thermometer for social problems. The higher the temperature, the greater the expenditure on stability maintenance. In recent years, especially after the 3 years of pandemic lockdown, social anxiety has clearly risen. Graduates can't find jobs, ordinary people are too afraid to spend their savings, housing prices are falling, the stock market is sluggish, the aging population is increasing, and the burdens of healthcare, pensions, and education are growing heavier. Meanwhile, small private enterprises are facing waves of bankruptcy. Migrant workers are unable to get their wages, demolition compensation disputes are frequent, and group incidents ranging from financial rights protection to pension fraud occur one after another. Social problems have not been institutionally resolved and can only be reflected on the streets, with the government's first reaction often being stability rather than reform. Thus, police forces are sent to the streets, grid workers enter homes, and the petition system is activated, all for the purpose of stabilizing emotions. Yet this stability maintenance is a short-term fix that doesn't address the root causes. The problem remains unresolved and are instead added to the key monitoring list. Public discontent doesn't dissipate while the budget keeps growing. Moreover, the system structure makes the situation even more entrenched. The old logic was, as long as economic growth continues, the people won't protest. Now the logic has shifted to, as long as we can suppress protest, a slightly poorer economy doesn't matter. In response to the authorities' new round of stability maintenance, some netizens have shouted on social platforms, in this great battle, who is the winner? The people may be weak, but they are on the right. The authorities seem strong, but they have lost people's hearts. When will this day of suffering turn into a new day?